Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 129, Exploring New Strategies, the intersection of business priorities and content strategy. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another... Why do I have these in? I don't need those. You want to know why I don't need those? Because there's nobody else here. It's just me, a solo guy. Actually, I should probably put this in here because something, it's important to keep those charged. Just in case. So it's just me, the solo guy today. So Matt Levenhagen at your disposal, something. So today it's going to be an interesting topic. It's related to video. It's related to things that I do for content with my team, including this podcast. And so there's been some changes this past week. It was another one of those moments where it was an executive decision. I said, this isn't working, and we're not doing it anymore. Sometimes, it's important. Like I have a team, I have a content team, helping me with marketing, distribution, all that stuff. And I do bounce ideas off them. They even give me ideas. It's a very collaborative experience. But once in a while, I have to, something's either obvious or it's just not going to work. Because especially on the content side, because who's doing all the content? Me. I'm doing all the content. I'm writing the articles. Because I have a blog and social media. I do have some help with the social media content, but then of course the videos and all that. That's all me, right? I don't have a clone yet. But so because of that and the fact that I'm running a busy agency, I have to make these decisions. And with me, it's like the agency obviously comes first. And yes, marketing is an important component that I've established in our agency. We're continually creating content, doing marketing, all of that, because it's important, right? Even when I get insanely busy, which is almost all the time now, but with my team and all the projects and client stuff and all the things we're doing, even new proposals coming in that I got to do and all that stuff that a guy does running an agency or gal, or whoever you are, or an alien. But whatever, through all that, it's really important for me, and I established this early on, or the last couple of years, that no matter what's going on, we always got to think about marketing, and part of that's a brand, right? Making sure that our brand shows up and all that good stuff. That's all I'm going to say about that. Today, I'm going to talk about something specific, though. It's going to be talking about the strategy I had on YouTube. Now, YouTube is not a huge channel for us, right? It's not, we don't have that many subscribers, 70 some, and so it's not a huge focus. We don't, we're just starting to look at it from a perspective of optimizing things. I actually have somebody that's looking at that. I'm going to help out with that in-house. So we're just scratching the surface there. I've done a couple hundred videos, if you include all the clips and the series, which I'm going to be talking about today. One of the things I've done the last year and a half. So the channel, the YouTube channel, was dedicated to basically the podcast, this podcast, and posting full episodes of this podcast. We post it out elsewhere as well, right? And it's something we can link to on social media and all that. But also clips. We put all our clips on there as well. But I've also done these series. So it's kind of a complementary The Builders series that are, I've done a couple different types. One was like a series of videos where I would follow up with additional thoughts or ideas or experiences around a particular episode, maybe probably the last episode. Did that for a little while. I did for over a year. I did agency lessons, and I would sit down every week. It came out weekly, and I would talk about what happened in my agency that last week or in recent history and the lessons from that. Most of the videos were 10, 15 minutes. Some could be a little bit longer, but shorter, a little shorter form than the podcast, which are at least a half hour, oftentimes probably averaging 45 minutes. So it was just something more to add value, gives us more content for the social web and all that good stuff, right? So that's kind of set up what I've been doing. And that agency lessons, I decided I kind of burned through that. It was doing all right, but and I enjoyed doing it. But at the same time, let's mix it up a little bit. I think I talked about some of this stuff in a recent solo episode, and I talked about this new series too. What I've been doing. So that all of that stuff that I'm doing, it's just adding more value. So what I ended up doing was I decided, okay, the agency lessons kind of, let's try something new. And I decided I'm going to really mix it up. I'm going to really test this time. All my videos up to this point have been pretty much unscripted, kind of like this is. I got a little bit of a bullet list on the right side here that I'll look at just to kind of make sure I follow a structure that I do a little bit of prep, but it's not scripted. I'm not reading anything right now. I'm just off the cuff, right? So up until recently, in the last month or two, that's been my style. I don't read anything. I don't read a teleprompter or anything like that. I decided to mix it up. I'm going to try doing that. And I'm going to try a completely different style. And how can it tie? I had to tie into the builders, and stories and entrepreneurial stories, business stories and stuff. So it was about basically, I did 3 episodes. You can still see them. You can go to YouTube now. They're still there. But basically 3 episodes about just kind of random businesses out there. I did a Netflix, I did AWS or Amazon's AWS, and another one on a smaller Simple Habit, I think it's called. I think I only did 3. Did I do 3 or 4? I don't know. There might be another one in there. I recorded another one, but I'll tell you that in a minute. So basically I take a real so basically doing everything different, right? Number one, completely. This isn't about me. And that was one of the things I'm getting away from. A lot of my content's about me. This is about me right now. This was about other businesses and pulling lessons out of that. It was called Breaking It Down. So I'm breaking down the lessons and how they were innovative, how they changed their processes or changed the landscape of that industry or whatever. But very short too. I think one was almost 5 minutes, but 3 to 4 minutes. That was my goal. Real short, but not shorter to edit, not shorter to produce, because I was using B-roll, which is basically stock B-roll or whatever you want to call it. So other imagery and video in there to emphasize what I was talking about or complement what I was talking about. More call outs and effects and words, using more words. And I'm taking these lessons from other videos and types of video done on YouTube where there's a lot more going on. And if you think of like Mr. Beast, I was sort of not going that far, but like that type of style or the type of style that's a lot more engaging and whatever. And I actually love the process. So it was a way more creative process. It was just like, okay, I record it and then I'm doing all this, finding those stock images, putting all this together and the effects and all that. It was a much more creative process. It was actually very fun. And I would totally do it if it wasn't about what I'm going to talk about here. So the problem with it is the time and all that. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit more here. That's kind of the setup. But yeah, it's going to be a lot about time. It's about the effort I had to put into it and how it clashed with things going on in my business and why it required a shift in strategy, a pivot, and but the importance of that and the importance of really stretching and pushing your limits. So again, let's go back to this. So I created these new videos, but here's the thing with those videos. They took a long time to do. And, my goal with this was, to do more content, to add value, to try something new and to really test something new and push the limits, because that's how you're going to discover new ways of doing things or something that might do better than what you did before, right? You can sit back and say, well, how did that do? How did people enjoy it? Am I going to get more YouTube audience this way? Trying something new. So, but to record it wasn't so bad. Probably even with a script. So what I would do is first I started with the research. So these were more researched because I had to learn about that particular business and these situations that they had going on, right? So leveraging ChatGPT, Bing a little bit, and trying to make sure that I have all my facts straight, to develop kind of the structure around it. And then I would tweak it and kind of get it in my voice. The goal was to have a script, but I would go off script once in a while and just emphasize things and just have fun with it. But so that process alone took longer than usual. Today, sitting down to do this particular episode, I've kind of, usually how I operate in my brain is the lead up to like this episode. I knew I had to do a solo episode. I'm thinking about what I'm going to talk about. I think about broadly about the topic. I knew I was going to talk about this today because it's something very recent and raw and something that I thought would be very interesting for an episode. And then I sat down today and spent a little time, building that structure. And yeah, I got a little bit of help from, actually tried something new today, Google Bard, because they've had some upgrades and stuff. And I thought, maybe I'll see if it can help me build out the script. So not a script, but outline. So I have Bard actually create the outline for me, and then I completely tweak it, right? Remove things and try to, and maybe even get some more ideas from Bard and until I have what I want. But like, for example, there was something I wanted to add to it. I'm like, where would you put this in this? Because the goal with that is not the content. The goal with that is the structure. Do I have a good hook? I'm not even sure I'm good at hooks. Do I have good at, am I going to have good engagement? Are people going to stick with the content throughout? And then do I have a good call to action at the end, or to, a lesson, pulled out? So that type of stuff I want to make, that can help me do that with those tools. Anyway, so I'm doing that, but with this new video style, I'm doing that research. It's taking much longer. So, and because I care much more about what I'm building out, what I'm going to be talking about literally the whole time. Get all that done. So that might take an hour. I don't know. Hour and a half, maybe a little, probably about an hour. And then to record it isn't so bad. I think anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes. That's even with taking multiple takes. But what I did is I split it up. I cut it up. So I would do like 1 or 2 paragraphs at a time, because I wasn't going to try to read through the whole thing without having any hiccups. So that process was actually really good. So I'm learning new things here. This whole thing, going through this whole process, I'm learning. So this is good. I got a lot of value out of this, and we're going to get into that, right? So I'm doing that, and then the editing process. I would do it in stages, in stages. So I would basically, so now I had all of myself recorded from the script, and basically figuring out how to do the script too, by the way. I had to figure out how I'm going to look at the video or how am I going to look at the camera while I'm reading. That's a skill in and of itself. But figuring all that out, and then the actual editing and all that took, like an hour and a half, but this last one was taking even longer. So I did a video. So I did those 3 or 4. It was 3. I was going to do one. I actually, speaking of my team, right? My VA, who helps me with the marketing and content distribution. I was talking about this series, and she's like, you should, because we were talking about other things we could talk about, like maybe something that's more current events. So maybe that could get us more traction in the, because people are talking about it, they'll be searching for it. So I was going to do an episode on Taylor Swift. It was excellent. I did basically I did the whole script, did the research for it. Took a while for this one because there was one of the things, the tricks with like ChatGPT is it only knows stuff up to the 21st or to 2021. So I used Bing to get more recent stuff, and I actually played between them. I said, if I go to Bing and I get recent date, things that are happening, then I plug that in ChatGPT. And now ChatGPT is like, oh, okay, this is new stuff. We can, I did that. So it was great. Actually, it was a really interesting experience. And then, but then the actual adding in the stock video, imagery, all that, it just started to get clunky. And this whole process was really clunky this time. It took me longer to do the script. It took me longer to do the actual recording. It took me longer and I was actually trying a new tool as well, which actually is a tool I'm going to talk about shortly because it's actually going to work great for my next thing. Let me keep teasing you. See, there's the hook to keep you listening. See, I'm learning. But no, so basically, but regardless, because I already knew at this stage that I needed I couldn't have it take too long. I knew the first few episodes might take longer, right? I'm learning, figuring out my process, trying different things, and they're all very different. So I'm trying different things along the way, but always looking at the process because really the time savings is in the process. Nailing down a structure, nailing down how you're going to edit, how you can, the quickest way to get things together, but still, produce quality. So there's a balance, but it's how can I get this boiled down? But things were just dragging, and and now I'm trying to learn a new tool, and it was kind of working great, but at the same time, this whole thing was just. And this was happening on a day that a lot was happening in my business as well, and a week. And I say that because there's always a lot happening in my business these days. But that was a big problem that particular day because I run an agency, a web design development agency. We do a lot of maintenance. We do a lot of stuff for other agencies. We have a continuous stream, daily things coming in, things being done, things, new projects, new big projects, new tasks, new fires to put out. And then I don't have a lot of fires, but that day I had a fire. And then I had some extra proposals to do that day because we get referrals or people find us. And so it was more than usual that week. And so it really came to a head when I was like, and I'm spending hours doing this. And then I have to think about the value of that because I know that video is creating is probably not going to have a huge impact. Maybe long term, the more I do. So if I would, once I get to like video 100, these could be really hot, right? My channel's on fire. But in the meantime, so and again, I have to prioritize my agency. It's really important, right? This is, as much as I'm doing, as important as this content is and marketing, like I made that important, it's even more important to have retention and make sure you're taking care of your client base and your agency partners and all the stuff that I got going on. So I was almost feeling guilty in a way. Like I really should be doing this other stuff. I shouldn't be doing this. And some of that's team stuff too, because every day I spend several hours literally going through team stuff. I got almost 10 people on my team. I always think there's a 10th person. I don't know this 10th person. I thought I had 10 people. I think I have a 10th person somewhere out there. Maybe that's ChatGPT. Maybe that's Louis. Louis is our 10th person. We call him Louis. It's an internal thing. If you see our team page, there's a Louis in the corner. It's actually ChatGPT. Yeah, he's our friend. But I digress. So, there's a lot going on. So the bottom line is, I stopped. Even though I'd gone deep into this one, I could have got it ready. I knew that I was going to have to stop that day. And what it was like getting later in the day, and I knew I had team stuff to do yet. I had to review some stuff, and we had some big projects going on, a lot of tasks going on, a lot of things happening. And I knew at that moment, I think it was like 6 at night or something, 6:30 at night. I'm like, I only have a few hours left of this day. This is going to have to wait till tomorrow. But then that's when it was really struck me. Like, this is a new thing. It's adding hours. It's adding a little bit of stress. It's learning something completely new, which is fine. But is this going to work for my agency, my business? Is this going to work? Does this particular thing work, or is it going to cause problems, ripple effects, right? Do I need to do it? How much of an impact does this have? And as an entrepreneur or as a business person, someone running a business, you have to ask those questions. This particular thing I'm doing, it's fun and it has potential, but what is it affecting today? And it's important to focus, but it's okay to do other things, especially if it's within the context of what you normally do. We do marketing and content. That's our thing. Podcasts, video, we're doing it. But you can only do so much, and you have to think about the big picture. So I instantly knew, this isn't going to work. This is not going to work. Even with this new tool, which I thought might improve the process, it wasn't working. So it was a great experience. I learned and was able to play with some new ways of doing things, which I think is going to translate to some other stuff. My goal again was just to create more value for my small YouTube audience, but mostly for everybody, all across their social media, anyone in the future that sees my stuff. Add more value, more content, like we always do. Introducing something new, doing new things, all this stuff, and pushing those limits. And that's what I did. I pushed the limit. Can I do this? Can I figure out, number one, how to do this type of video? And can I boil it down, get a good process in place where it's not going to have a real big effect? Now, I have room to do things I do marketing every day. I do content. Some percentage of my day is content or working on these type of things. Now I play a lot of roles in my business. I wear a lot of hats, like a lot of us do, right? So I have to do accounting. I have to do proposals. I have to do estimates, invoicing. I have to do the day-to-day stuff, team stuff, client communications, onboarding new things, delivering other things. All that stuff's happening. But you want to, so there's some room in there to push the limits, but there's only so much room, right? And you also have to, what is the value, our value, what value are we getting from doing something? We can do a lot of things. I have a lot of people that approach me to do more YouTube stuff. They say, you could be doing better on YouTube if you did this, this, and this, or we can coach you. But it's not, YouTube can't be that big of a thing just because I have all this other stuff going on. So the question you might ask, well, did I achieve my goal though with these videos, or was I achieving and was I in that path? And it's yes and no. I mean, I think actually the videos, I was feeling really good about it. I was starting to really nail down that process. I think it would have just gotten better. I think by, video 10, 20, I might actually have it figured out, the format and all that. But I think I was actually onto something. I think I could have got better at the script situation. But again, those challenges were there. What I had to do is so that moment when I realized this isn't going to work, it was, I literally stood back, stepped back, sat back, and thought about everything. Took a few moments just to think about everything. I was thinking about what was happening here. Why was that a challenge? Making the decision, I don't think I can do this particular thing. And then assessing everything. Okay, what is my focus? So I also do content writing for my blog. My goal has been every other week, writing an article. I'm looking at writing more articles for link building to get links to our site and stuff, and more content, guest content out there. Obviously, the podcast is never going anywhere. At least I don't plan on it ever going anywhere. So I would imagine this is probably the last thing I'll be doing. Even after my business, I'll still be podcasting. So that's not going anywhere, but I want to do more guesting on other people's podcasts. And as I was looking at that, at the landscape of what we're doing, and I'm like, so we know this has been our baseline for a long time. And I know, like, this new thing I was doing, that's not baseline. That's something new. That's stretchy. That's trying something new. Pushing the limits. But we have all this stuff we do, right? That we have established we're going to do. And in this year, the blog, it became one of those things, actually. So that something that became baked in. This is definitely what we're doing. Not that I could change my mind later, but this has become part of it because we have an SEO person now, and she needs content to optimize, right? I got to keep her busy somehow. But no, I invested in that as well, right? I have somebody that's helping me optimize content and watching over Google Analytics and all that stuff, to report things to me and to help because we really didn't focus on SEO a lot these last couple of years, and I want to do that more. So, and giving that person content is kind of important. So I actually have, like, we call her, I labeled us the trio because it's me. I create the content. Then I have my SEO person to do all the SEO stuff, right? And she optimizes every time I do an article. I drop it and click up, and there's a list of things for her to do and to optimize it. And then I have my social media person. So she helps with distribution and creates other content for me and stuff for social media. So that's the trio. So I'm the content. My social media person is partly content too. A lot of the content you see on social media, she creates. I edit it. I will edit it and review it, approve it, and all that. I'm in that process. But anyway, so we got the trio, right? So that's all baked in. We're just going to keep doing that, right? So the articles, the podcast, the guesting, the link building efforts, the short form. So this is, when you look at your strategy, you're thinking about everything you're doing and what's working. And obviously we're doing all this stuff because we think it's working. Our business is not stagnant. We're growing. We keep getting more business, and we're starting, I think, even our SEO efforts. It's a little scary at the moment because I'm starting to actually get local people. I've never been focused locally with my web design agency, which is weird, right? I think a lot of people would start locally, but because of my background, I didn't need to do that. I was a global entity, more international. No, more US, mostly US. Yeah, I'm over in Europe too. I got clients all over. And so it really, the way I came into being with my agency, it wasn't a local focus. But that doesn't mean I don't have a local presence on Google, right? My business profile and all that. But then all these, over time, something sparked and I'm starting to get extra stuff. So that's another thing. So I'm having to do more proposals locally and stuff. So, but a lot of things like that are happening. But with all that, there is what I'm trying to get to here, if I can get to it. The thing I teased a little bit is, so the tool I'm using is veed.io. veed.io. Veed.io is it. One of the reasons that we found it is because we were kind of curious about this whole eye tracking thing. There's like a new AI feature out there where there's a couple apps out there and sites that can do it now, but it adjusts your eyes so you're looking at so you're always got to have eye contact with the audience. So I wanted to play with that. And then I saw they had all these other features. I'm like, okay, cool, let's play with that with this video, the latest video. But it turns out that it's a really nice interface to also create shorts and reels. Now, shorts and reels has been one of those things that I've avoided because of time and doing this other stuff on YouTube, these other series and all this other stuff. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe this, as I was working in that interface, it was actually really easy to create these, and also creates, by the way, something that I see a lot of people doing. And I'm always observing what other marketers are doing and people on the web, businesses. One of the things it does is it does those really sweet looking subtitle things. So as you're talking, the big letters, and it can be formatted any way you want. It's not like normal, just plain Jane, boring subtitles at the bottom of a video. It's incorporated into the video, and the words show up as you're talking, all that kind of. You can do that all in there, and plus add other effects and whatever you want to do, and take out the background of your video, so you can put other stuff behind you. You can be really creative with it. So very creative, but very, very much so shorter and off the cuff a little bit. The first video, I actually did a test video this last week, and it was, or a couple days ago even. And I did use a script. So Veed has this really cool teleprompter. So it scrolls as you're talking, and then of course you can adjust the eyes. So doesn't matter if you're reading, the eyes will stay connected. Now, the only drawback with that feature is some people say it's freaky because you're staring at the person too much, because that's not natural. But I think for shorter form, especially, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm actually taking sort of a lot of the things I learned from doing this new series, like the more call outs, more words, more effects and those things, but I'm baking it down into these less than a minute shorts. But that's the goal. So I only did one. So, but that's my goal. But if I can do so, the other series that I did, even the agency lessons, literally was only an hour and a half of investment of my time every day on Fridays, like Friday mornings or Thursdays. I do them sometimes. Literally an hour and a half max, and I could have justified that. These new video series was like, I could see this going 3-4 hours or more if, depending on the topic, right? And how well it goes. There's a lot of things in there that could go awry, like, okay, trying to find that perfect video and things like that can trip you up. But less than a minute, I can still, it's shorter content. It can be pretty random, that content. I might pull content from my articles that I write on my blog, or pull content ideas. I can pull content ideas from almost anything. The first one I did was literally just a quote, and just talking about that quote and motivating people, so it could be inspirational. There's all kinds of things. And it depends on you can put it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I think you can do it on LinkedIn too. So I may play around with that. Maybe more, professional, business oriented. But this is a new thing I'm going to try. So, and I'm going to just not do the series on YouTube anymore. I'm just going to do these shorts. And maybe I can even do more than one a week depending on the week, right? So this it achieves my goal by giving us more content. It solves the problem with time. And I just felt like that type of video did require a lot more research up front too. And fact checking and all that. Not that I don't fact check all my stuff, but in that case, like now I don't have to worry about it because I'm talking about what I'm doing. So I don't have to fact check myself. I know what I'm doing. But when you're talking about other businesses and years and all the things they're doing and definitions around that, but it gives me a lot more flexibility. There's not as much pressure there. It just feels like it fits in more with what we're doing. And I really actually think that I could even, using this new tool, Veed, I might even be able to use that for some of our clips because we do clips on YouTube. And I do some I'll post clips on Instagram, but they're not like reels, like the longer, vertical videos. But with Veed, I think I could make that happen. So it should be interesting. I can play around with it. But it's a new format. And I think actually that's because my goal with the new series was actually shorter videos, 3 to 4 minutes. And part of that is just to grab that audience that doesn't want to watch a 10, 15, 20-minute video. Like I've talked about this in a recent episode where I don't even like to do that. Like when anything gets over like 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, I avoid it, or I have to break it up into multiple sessions. I don't know what that says about me, that I can't watch anything for more than 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time. But literally, there's actually a YouTube channel that I subscribe to. I've watched him religiously for like a couple of years, and he's the last couple of videos he did one that was over an hour, but I couldn't watch the whole thing at once. I watch 10, 15 minutes at a time, and then I'll go watch other videos. That's why I like shorts. Actually, I think I'm going to love shorts because I watch a lot of shorts and reels. I can flip through those all day long, especially if I have limited time. I don't know how much time I have. I'll just keep flipping through those. Again, I don't know what that says about me, but so I want to just let's end where we like to end, right? What are the takeaways here, and how can you apply it, to what you're doing, right? I think there's a lot of lessons in this type of thing. Really, we could talk about just the ability when you are running I think, in silos, people talk about things on the web. Let's talk about YouTube. Let's talk about social media. But we don't always talk about it in the context of all the other stuff you're doing, right? So if you're like me and you have an established business, I'm 5th year running an agency, we're super busy, right? I actually could pause. I've said that before. I could pause my marketing for a while and probably do awesome. Maybe forever do awesome. I don't know if I need to even do marketing at this point. Just through referrals and just the momentum we have, right? At least we wouldn't have to do everything we're doing, right? There's a lot of stuff we could cut out very, very easily. But through that, knowing that you're already busy, you already got your baseline of things you're doing, you're already doing all this stuff, and now you want to do this new thing. And people are like, that's the new thing you should be doing. Or the YouTube guy, that's the coach that comes along, and you know who you are out there. Matt, you could be doing so much better. They don't see the full context of what you're doing. And so you got to weigh all of that stuff. And that's part of this lesson is when there's new things, we talk about shiny objects or whatever out there, right? There's something new that seems like, people are very successful with that. Live video. I just watched a live video about a group of people talking about live video and how great it is. And I've talked to others about how great it is. But I don't know that it's anything I'm going to be doing anytime soon because we got our thing and time. But you have to think about the whole landscape. Strategy and figure out what you're doing. You got to know where you're at, what works. You got to boil things down to what is going to have the most impact. Yes, I could be doing these videos, or I'm doing these videos, right? And then once in a while you have to sit back and be like, is that having any impact on what we're doing? I'm going to guess, but the impact of stopping that series and doing the shorts, the reels and stuff, I think it's going to be at minimum, it's going to completely balance out. We're not losing anything. We're not going to lose business. It's not going to, probably nothing measurable, but we might do better. So, with this new strategy. So always, periodically looking at your strategy, looking at everything you're doing and trying new things. So the other thing here is really pushing those limits, trying new things, mixing it up a little bit, trying completely new things. Like this was way outside my comfort zone, super way outside my comfort zone. I'm used to just talking like this. I'm not used to scripts. I'm not used to all the effects. I might use some, but not a huge amount. So all of that stuff, trying something new is good. That's good. That's healthy because you may stumble on something you either enjoy doing or you're better at, or, that sets you apart. A lot of this too is how can you set yourself apart from your competition? There's a lot of people that run web design and development agencies, but I bet there's not a lot of people like me. I can guarantee it. So you got to show up authentically and do your thing and figure out your stuff, but you only figure that stuff out by trying. But you also, like I said, you got to take care of your current business. If you care about retaining business, and onboarding new business, but retaining business too. Like I have to make sure that our monthly contracts, our monthly maintenance we're doing, or, those type of contracts especially they are number one, right? The new business coming in, number two, and being able to pay my people, my team, probably 0.5. I got to make sure they're taken care of. But I can't take care of them if we're not retaining and getting new business. So even though all this YouTube stuff's fun, it's not, it's down there. It's, the most important thing for me is our presence, our brand, like LinkedIn, just showing up, just being there. It doesn't even matter what we're doing. Being there, adding value in whatever way we're adding value, just being there, So, one of the things that I think one of my takeaways, there's a couple other takeaways, right? So number one, learning this new tool, I think it's going to be awesome. Even though I did something that actually, I wouldn't say failed, but I decided wasn't right for me, I learned a lot. Like when I was doing TikTok years ago, before it was, hot, like in the early days, I was doing TikTok. I don't know why. It was starting to get hot. But most people thought it was stupid. I did that for a while, built up to like 5,000 followers, had a lot of fun with it. But those hundreds of videos I did on TikTok, I learned. Even though I did that and I stopped doing it, I guarantee a lot of the skills that I have, and I've joked about this is as good as it gets, because at this point, if I haven't learned. But it's the same with what I just did with that YouTube series and trying these new types of, using B-roll more and all that stuff. That and then introducing myself to this new tool, that's going to be huge for me, right? That's something now I can carry into everything else I'm doing. The other thing is my respect for YouTubers is through the roof. Their job is not easy. Now they might if they're successful enough, they have teams behind them. But even starting out though, there's a lot of work that goes in, a lot of creative work that goes into it. But especially if you have a channel that's talking about things that require research and stuff, it's not just pure entertainment and, jumping off cliffs or whatever you're doing. But even then, it's like, figuring out how to structure and all that stuff. So much goes into it. I was just listening to an episode. I don't know. I didn't know much about Mr. Beast until this past year, or past 6 months. So I reference him once in a while just because I've been kind of learning about him more. I've seen him more now. The algorithm knows I like him. But he said, before they really figured it out, him and some buddies they spent a couple of years literally just studying everything, every YouTube video, thumbnails, testing, just doing all this crazy stuff to learn all this stuff. But, that's how you do. But I so respect that. They make it look so easy. And I'm huge on YouTube. Every night I sit down for at least an hour and watch YouTube and probably an hour or two during the day. So I love YouTube. And I've been doing that for like a decade, so don't judge me. But I love YouTube, but I have so much more respect trying to do what they're doing. So if you look at just know that there's a lot more to it, and it is a challenge. And if you're starting out on YouTube, don't expect huge success. I don't have huge success, but I can tell you that even just the stuff I was trying to do, some people may be more of a natural. You may have some background that helps you, maybe editing video or whatever. But especially if you don't have any experience, it's going to take time. Trust me. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about today. It was just, I love talking about these type of things, particularly because it's so raw and very recent. Literally days ago that I made this decision. And it's the type of thing that all of us in business deal with. And sometimes we have to be reminded of things. And maybe I reminded you of things in your business. Maybe there's things you can go and you can reassess. I mean, should I be spending more time on this thing or that thing? Is that a waste of time? Or should I try this new thing? Maybe you're not challenging yourself enough to try new things and put yourself out there. That's how you grow. Like this whole experience, again, you can call it failure. You can call it, I just gave up, decided it wasn't right for me, right? That's how I define that. It wasn't right for me, but I learned so much in that process. The hours, I probably spent 15 hours at least doing those videos. And in that process, in the editing process, I learned a lot. So go out, learn, do it. You learn by doing. So go do it. If you want to share your experiences, you have any experiences similar to this, or if you have any experiences similar to this, or how do you think you could apply this to your own business? If you're on YouTube, you can just comment below, or if you're on social media, comment below. If you're on a random, Spotify or Apple Music or something, figure out, I don't know where you comment somewhere. You can also go to my blog, the website for thebuilders.fm. Thebuilders.fm is thebuilders.fm. Do I have to spell that? And on there, I have all past episodes, and I have basically show notes pages for each episode, and you can comment there too if you really wanted to, if that's your jam. All right. Until next time, hope you enjoyed this. Take care. Get to it. Do your thing. Go out, push yourself, all that good stuff. Yeah. Bye. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.